in our next guest, a senior NFL writer for the AP, busy time of year master at predicting games. You can check out his Pro Picks column every week on apnews.com. Rob Maaddi, what a freaking season.
What's going on, Kay? It's that time of year, wild card weekend. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wacky. You know, I've got a new nickname for you. You always have one for me.
Okay.
And I was talking to Christian McCaffrey the other day, and he does it all, right? He runs, he blocks, he catches 100 passes.
Yeah.
You're the CMC of the media.
Great.
You're doing everything. Like, you're doing events at the Super Bowl. You're doing red carpets. You're doing everything. So I see you on Christmas Day, right?
Yeah.
So you're the CMC of the media.
I love a check, Rob. Let's talk about it. Okay, speaking of AP, it is award season now, and thank you for saying that. And it's great to have you, and it's your busy time of year. If we look at AP Coach of the Year odds, Mike Vrabel is the current favorite here with Mike McDonald and Liam Cohen following him. So ballots are in. Who do you think takes this one home?
Wow, this is one of the tougher seasons, and so many people have just reached out and like, wow, it's a hard year because you think about it, you can make an argument for everybody. Mike Vrabel goes in there, takes over a team that was awful last year, and instantly they win the division. They're the number 2 seed. Mike McDonald is the number 1 seed, and anytime you're a number 1 seed, you got to look at that guy. Now, he did win 10 games last year, so I don't know. Ben Johnson goes into Chicago. I'm surprised. I'm looking at those odds, and what does it say? Plus 10,000 for Ben Johnson. He goes in there and wins a division. Guys like that, and Liam Cohen kind of flies under the radar, okay? Just because he's in Jacksonville, but he took over a team that was last place, 4 wins, and all. Well, they weren't last, Tennessee was, but they were 4 wins, and he turns them around, turns them into the AFC South champions. So this one's going to come down. We've had some close races. I think a couple years ago, Kevin Stefanski and D'Amico Ryans were like neck and neck. It came down to who had more first place votes.
Right.
I think this could be very similar. And here's the one thing that's important to note for everybody. Whatever happens from here on out doesn't count. It's not a playoff award. It's based on the regular season. So a couple years ago when Stefanski won, but they lost to D'Amico Ryans and the Texans in the playoffs, I remember talking to Stefanski afterwards, and he was like, man, I don't even know if I should be accepting this award, because he felt they lost in the play. That was the Joe Flacco year. They lost in the playoffs. But I'm like, Kevin, hey, it's a regular season award.
100%.
It's based on a regular season. So this one can go 3, 4, 5 different ways.
That's great insight. Now I'm yeah, that's so interesting. The Liam of it is so interesting to me. So when I look at close races, I love your perspective. It's a fun one with MVP because Matthew Stafford, insane numbers. Drake May's been great too. You know, all pro teams will be announced very soon. Like, Stafford has the advantage with the stats, but he's got this third place finish in his own division. Like, how does that third place finish affect his MVP chances?
So if you look historically, Kay, over the history of the AP NFL award, only 2 quarterbacks have won it that didn't win their division. And I think there's 7 running backs in there that didn't win their division, but we haven't had a running back since Adrian Peterson. And those quarterbacks were Peyton Manning, and I believe Steve McNair was a co-MVP at one point, and then Johnny Unitas was the other quarterback when the Colts didn't make the playoffs. So historically, it's gone towards a guy who's at least won the division. Now, even more recently than long term, over the last 12 years, and it's been quarterback 12 years in a row. 9 of those 12 years, it's been a number 1 seed. And the other 3, it was a number 2 seed, including last year when it was Josh Allen. So it's hard to discount. And I was talking to Matthew Stafford yesterday about just potentially winning an award or whatever it may be. And he's just obviously laser focused on Carolina and playing this game on Saturday. But this is a 37-year-old quarterback who had a pretty historic season based on any age, but especially for somebody his age. And I think the cool thing is what we've seen last year, Kay, if you remember, Lamar Jackson was the first team All-Pro. But Josh Allen won the MVP award.
Yes, I remember very well.
Right, that was only the second time that's happened.
Yes,
and it was going back to '86, John Elway, Joe Montana. So I think the clarity of MVP goes to a player who had the most valuable season,
yes,
as opposed to the best statistical numbers. So let me tell you this.
Okay.
We talked about CMC, right? What about CMC in the equation? Where would the Niners be this year? I know he didn't play linebacker. Like, he could do everything. Imagine if he could play linebacker, because that's what they need.
Maybe he could.
Another name. How about Micah Parsons? Have the Packers won a game since Micah got hurt? They haven't. Now, I know the last game didn't matter because they didn't play their starters, but there were two others, including the Denver game, that they lost. When you think of value, and I think voters are starting to look at, when you look at the guidance and the terms most valuable season, what were you able to do to elevate your team, or how good, what is your team without you? And
I think most of, Rob, most of the public, I think, thinks that voters don't think that way, or aren't. It's gotten completely away from the value of there's an idea that it's impossible for a Christian McCaffrey or a Micah or any non-quarterback. You're saying you're feeling it might be going the other way eventually, like that. You know, it's been a long time.
I don't know if it's possible, but I do know that we have a top 5 ballot, as opposed to, so in years past, you pick one name, you pick one win.
Yes.
Now with the top 5, it makes it more fun, right? You can see Christian McCaffrey finished 3rd a couple years ago. So you can see a Christian McCaffrey getting votes. You can see a Micah. You can see a Myles Garrett. You can see some of these other guys, some of these defensive players getting votes. But I think what we realized last year is value versus statistical numbers. We had the AP has an Offensive Player of the Year award. We have Defensive Player of the Year award. Those should go to the most outstanding player at that position. MVP, I think voters are starting to look at it from a perspective of most valuable season. Who was the most valuable to their team? And when you look at it that way, okay, if you look at Justin Herbert, where are the Chargers without Justin Herbert? You could say that for probably nearly every playoff quarterback in the league right now. Where is that team without that quarterback? So when you look at value, it makes it even more difficult to choose an MVP, as opposed to going, oh, well, he had the best numbers, he's the MVP.
That's like,
so I think
first team is, and I love that you're saying this, because it very much follows the philosophy that I subscribe to in first team versus the other many awards that the AP offers, and that are so meaningful, which makes them, of course, very polarizing to the audiences and these tough decisions to make. Let's get into Wildcard Weekend. We are with Rob Maaddi. TV break. We're going to roll through the break and get into some of these, because this is what you do, the maestro of making picks. You are the, we're going to do a little thing called Wildcard Weekend upset vibes. We're going to talk a little underdogs here. Is there here's your record, by the way. Look at these little puppies. Time for up and underdogs. 184 and 87-1 is your record. Now I'm looking at these. Which underdog do you like in the field?
So I started picking all of these games without an underdog, and Kay, the lines moved. So by the time I finished writing my story and my picks, I realized, I was like, whoa, the Packers shifted from a 1-point favorite to a 1.5-point underdog. That means I've got the Bears winning at home. Suddenly I've got an upset special, and my upset specials this year were 13-5 straight up, 14-4 against the spread. I've got the Bears as an upset special winning at home. The Packers were a Super Bowl contender with Micah Parsons. Without Micah, I talked to him yesterday. He's so bummed. He wishes he could be out there. He's working as hard as he can. He's like, I'm a soldier. I'm going out there. I'm doing what I can in rehab so I can attack it and I can be out there with my teammates next year. That's awesome. That's not going to help them. This game against the Chicago Bears, it's the 3rd time they face each other in 6 games. And what we've seen out of Caleb Williams and the Bears is no matter what the score is, no matter what point in the game it is, they're never out of it. And I think this is going to come down to a last-minute field goal. I have Bears 27-24. I just had to quickly check, make sure I got the numbers right. I've got Bears 27-24 in this one.
Niners-Eagles. Let's get to that one. Eagles 4.5-point faves. Why do you think they win it quickly?
As much as I'd love to see CMC go off and have a day, the Niners are so banged up. The Niners are just so banged up in this one. They lose another linebacker. The Eagles are home. The Eagles know what it takes to win this. People are going to call me a homer because I covered the Eagles forever.
No, you talked to CMC yesterday. Who didn't you talk to yesterday?
There were a lot of guys. There were a lot of. It was a big day. He's laser focused. They're all everybody's like, we're laser focused on this game, Rob. We appreciate the call and everything else, but I can't see the Eagles losing this one at home. Brock Purdy could have a day. Vic Fangio's defense, to me, is like the big determining factor here, and they've been so good. They've got tremendous guys on that side of the ball. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Jalen Carter. I think the Eagles win this game 24-20.
Bills have Josh Allen, of course, reigning MVP. The Jags, though, have the momentum, 1.5 point road faves. How do you think this one goes?
I think the Jaguars are ahead of schedule. I love what Liam Cohn was able to do with Trevor Lawrence, got them to the playoffs. This is like a now or never kind of season for Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, James Cook. You got the #1 pass defense in Buffalo, #1 run defense in Jacksonville. I'm going to take Josh Allen to make a play late in the game, so I've got the Bills winning this one.
Last one for you. Texans, Steelers. Didn't talk that much about that one. Steelers 3-point underdogs in this one. DK's back. What do you think?
Yeah, history tells you Steelers always win on Monday night. Texans never win on the road in the playoffs. I don't care about history, Kay. Houston's got such a dominant defense. That defense is so good. I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. Like, I hope they don't injure him to the point where he wants to retire. Like, I want to see Aaron Rodgers come back. But Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter and all these guys, like, that defense is so good. I literally, like, I'm not saying this to be sarcastic, fear for Aaron Rodgers, his mobility against that kind of defense. I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah, not a great matchup for him. Probably the worst one for our 40-million-year-old quarterback. Okay, you have the Rams crushing the Panthers. I don't love that, like, crushing them, but all of your picks are at your Pro Picks article on AP.com every week. Rob Maaddi, appreciate you. And please, guys, go subscribe to his YouTube show on football with the AP's Rob Maaddi on the Associated Press YouTube channel. So enjoy the games this weekend. I'm sure we'll talk soon, and I'll see you at Super Bowl, hopefully.
Thank you, Kay.